Acts. The storm gathers. Before dawn on 6th of June 1944, the English Channel is crowded with shadows. Waves slap against steel hulls as thousands of vessels move in slow, disciplined formation toward a hostile shore. In the dim light, soldiers sit shoulder to shoulder, equipment damp with sea spray, faces set in silence. Above them, aircraft drone through low cloud, their shapes briefly visible in breaks of pale sky. Radios crackle with coded messages. Officers check watches, then check them again. Across the water, the French coastline lies dark and still, marked only by faint silhouettes of cliffs, dunes, and fortified positions. Concrete bunkers face the sea, their guns trained on empty horizons. For months, both sides have prepared for this morning, though only one knows exactly where and when the blow will fall. What unfolds here will not be a single battle, but the opening of a new front that will reshape the course of the war in Europe. By 1944, the Second World War had entered its fifth year. Germany still occupied much of Europe, from Norway to Greece, and from France deep into the Soviet Union. In the east, the Red Army was advancing westward after hard-fought victories, but the fighting remained intense and costly. In the Mediterranean, Allied forces had landed in Italy, yet progress northward was slow and contested. For the Western Allies, primarily the United States, the United Kingdom, and Canada, the pressure to open a major front in Western Europe had grown steadily. Such an operation would relieve strain on Soviet forces, divide German attention, and create a direct path toward the heart of Nazi-controlled territory. Planning for a cross-channel invasion began years earlier, but the scale required unprecedented coordination of men, material, and intelligence. Germany, aware that an invasion would come, fortified the Atlantic coastline with bunkers, obstacles, artillery, and minefields in what became known as the Atlantic Wall. Yet the coastline was vast and resources limited. The question was not whether the Allies would land, but where, and whether German forces could respond quickly enough. The answer would determine the strategic balance in Western Europe. Acts 2. The plans. The Allied invasion plan, codenamed Operation Overlord, was commanded overall by General Dwight D. Eisenhower. Ground forces for the initial landings were assigned to General Bernard Montgomery's 21st Army Group. American, British, and Canadian divisions would assault 5 beaches along the Normandy coast, supported by airborne troops dropped inland to secure bridges, crossroads, and key terrain. The strategic objective extended far beyond the beaches. The Allies aimed to establish a secure lodgment in France, build up overwhelming strength, and then break out into open country toward Paris and the German border. Success required rapid reinforcement, reliable supply lines across the Channel, and control of the air and sea. On the German side, Field Marshal Erwin Rommel oversaw coastal defenses in northern France, while Field Marshal Gerd von Rundstedt held overall command in the west. German strategy was divided. Some commanders believed the invasion should be defeated on the beaches. Others preferred to hold armored reserves inland for a decisive counterattack once the main landing site was identified. This disagreement, combined with Allied deception operations that suggested an invasion near Pas-de-Calais, left German forces dispersed and uncertain in the crucial hours to come. Normandy's coastline offered a mix of sandy beaches, rocky bluffs, tidal flats, and narrow roads leading inland through hedgerow-lined fields. The bocage landscape, with its thick earth embankments and dense vegetation, would later favor defenders, but on invasion morning it remained a largely unknown obstacle to many Allied planners. Logistics defined the operation. In the months before D-Day, Britain became a vast staging ground. Troops trained in amphibious assaults, engineers prepared specialized vehicles to clear obstacles, and planners assembled detailed maps based on aerial photography and resistance reports. Artificial harbors, known as mulberries, were designed to be towed across the channel and assembled off the beaches to speed the flow of supplies. Weather posed a constant threat. High winds and heavy seas could scatter landing craft and delay air support. Originally scheduled for early June, the invasion was postponed by storms. A brief improvement in conditions offered a narrow window. Relying on meteorological forecasts, Eisenhower made the decision to proceed. That choice committed more than 150,000 troops to one of the most complex amphibious operations ever attempted. C-3, the collision. Shortly after midnight, airborne forces began landing behind enemy lines. Paratroopers and glider troops descended into darkness, often scattered by cloud, anti-aircraft fire, and navigation errors. Small groups formed on the ground, improvising to seize bridges, disrupt communications, and block German reinforcements moving toward the coast. At first light, naval bombardment pounded coastal defenses. Battleships and cruisers fired heavy shells at known strongpoints, while smaller vessels closed in to support the landing waves. As ramps dropped, infantry stepped into cold surf under fire from machine guns and artillery. On some beaches, such as Utah and Gold, initial objectives were secured with relatively manageable losses, aided by favorable currents or effective preliminary bombardment. Elsewhere, particularly at Omaha Beach, the situation was far more severe. Strong defensive positions, high bluffs, and missed bombardment targets left assaulting units exposed. Landing craft drifted off course, units became mixed, and officers struggled to restore order amid smoke, noise, and rising casualties. Yet small groups found paths up draws and cliffs, gradually weakening the German grip on the shoreline. If you were in command at this point, would you have made the same choice? Share your thoughts in the comments. As the morning wore on, the landings remained precarious. Success depended not on a single breakthrough, but on many small actions by units and individuals pushing beyond the waterline and into defensive networks. As for the break, the decisive shift did not occur in a single dramatic moment, but in the steady consolidation of the beachheads by the end of 6th June and the days that followed. Despite heavy resistance in places, the Allies secured footholds on all 5 beaches and began linking them together. Engineers cleared obstacles and marked safe lanes. Artillery and armored vehicles came ashore in growing numbers, strengthening the defense against counterattack. German armored reserves, crucial to any large-scale response, were slow to arrive. Confusion over the true main landing area, combined with Allied air superiority that disrupted movement by day, delayed coordinated counterattacks. When German panzer units did engage, they faced well-supported Allied forces with naval gunfire and close air support. The failure to drive the invaders back into the sea on the first day marked the strategic turning point. Once a continuous lodgment existed, the Allies could build combat power faster than Germany could concentrate it. The balance shifted from a desperate defense of narrow beaches to a sustained campaign to break out of Normandy. The invasion had moved beyond survival and into expansion, altering the trajectory of the war in Western Europe. The aftershocks. The Battle of Normandy continued for weeks after D-Day. Fierce fighting in hedgerow country slowed the Allied advance, while German forces conducted determined defensive operations and localized counterattacks. Cities such as Caen and Saint-Lô were heavily damaged in the struggle for key road networks. Casualty figures were substantial on all sides. On D-Day alone, Allied forces suffered thousands of killed, wounded, and missing, while German losses were also significant, though harder to calculate precisely. Over the broader Normandy campaign, total casualties reached into the hundreds of thousands, including civilians caught in the fighting. Strategically, the Allies achieved their primary objective, a secure foothold in France. By late summer, a breakout from Normandy led to rapid advances across France and the liberation of Paris. German forces in the West were forced into a general retreat toward their borders while simultaneously facing continued pressure from the East. The Normandy invasion fundamentally altered the strategic map of Europe. It established a permanent Western front that Germany could not eliminate, forcing it to fight a two-front ground war against powerful industrial coalitions. Resources that might have been used to reinforce other sectors were tied down in a continuous defensive struggle. Operation Overlord also demonstrated the scale and sophistication of modern joint operations. Air, sea, and land forces operated in close coordination, supported by vast logistical systems and intelligence networks. The lessons learned influenced military planning long after the war, shaping doctrines for amphibious warfare, coalition command structures, and large-scale expeditionary operations. For occupied Europe, the landings marked the beginning of liberation in the West. Politically and militarily, they ensured that Western Allied forces would play a direct role in the defeat of Nazi Germany and in shaping the post-war landscape. Historians study D-Day not only for its drama and sacrifice, but because it represents the moment when the balance of power in Western Europe shifted decisively and irreversibly. The beaches of Normandy are quieter now, marked by sand, grass, and rows of memorials. Yet the events of June 1944 remain a defining chapter in modern history, when planning, courage, and immense logistical effort combined to open the road toward the end of the war in Europe. History is shaped by moments like this. Share this story if it mattered to you and follow the channel for more battles that change the world.